started off as a PG podcast, but then Devin just kept on dropping shits and fucks, and now...
That's right. We are live.
The ghost faced himself, Brandon Tanev.
This isn't like the start of last season when it was just, it looked like the Canucks were just a beer league team not playing defense at all. And just before Chris goes, no, I'm Chris, you can actually go now.
no, hold on.
We had to give more time for coming on late. So.
I still had, hold on. All right. Chris, go, and then I got something else to say at the end.
So, an elf and a midget in 2 back-to-back games. He's definitely on a friendship tour for sure.
Saying, I'm okay with him being, the 6'7" defenseman. No! He is a AHL defenseman right now.
Look, Shonky, don't mind Devin, okay? We all struggle with Devin, so you know.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you may be. Welcome to the Shifts and Pucks podcast. Of course, you can follow us on Twitter at Shifts and Pucks, Facebook.com, Shifts and Pucks, YouTube.com, Shifts and Pucks, live on Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch.com, Shifts and Pucks. Subscribe wherever you get your audio. As well, we're also live on the Area 51 Sports Network Twitter, and you can check us out there as well. As it's happening. It is really happening. The first time since 1991. Hello, first of all, good morning, Devin.
Morning, Kev.
How old were you when the Flames and the Oilers played their last playoff series?
I wasn't even one yet. I was just a freshly born babe.
So the first time since Devin was a freshly born baby, the Calgary Flames and the Edmonton Oilers will face in a Battle of Alberta playoff series. In the era of Twitter, this is going to happen. Both the Flames and the Oilers wrapped up their series, and this will happen. It starts tomorrow, and we're here to preview it here. Before we start, though, Devin, one of the things I often forget to do, Devin, who is this music a lot of people say, that host of the podcast, that Kevin, he really sucks. But that music's really good. Who is the music?
The music is Lodgepole Kind. They just dropped some new music on Spotify, SoundCloud, wherever you get your fine music. Along with this podcast, just search up Lodgepole Kind. Lodgepole is one word, and kind is a separate word, but they're legit. And honestly, their new music. Go check out the, kind of fitting for what we were just talking about. One of their new songs is called Babe, and it's solid. So shout out to Lodgepole. Yes,
we shout out there as well. So what we will be doing, as we've done in the first round, we're going to be recapping all of the games the day after. We'll kind of have to play it by ear because the schedule is silly. Here we've got one game on tomorrow's game starts at 7:30 Pacific, and then Friday's game starts around 8:30 Pacific, and then Sunday's game starts at 6, and then Monday's game I think starts back at 7:30. It's all over the map. So, but we'll be around the day after for all of the games. So keep an eye on that. Subscribe, hit the like button, hit the follow button. All of those things. Tell your friends as we begin a significant chapter in franchise history. But before we do that, we have to turn the page and look back on a Game 6 and a Game 7 and I think the only way to start this, and I know that our primary focus here is the Calgary Flames, Devin, but it's hard not to just simply start with just praising Jake Ottinger. Let us be the last to praise Jake Ottinger. That was amazing. I just, going through that game, the Stars get the first goal 40 seconds in after the huge hit from Backlund. I wasn't super worried then. I was like, yeah, okay, they're down 1-0, but they've allowed goals in the opening minute before and won. So I'm not too worried about that. Then the Flames tie it, and then the Messigoff scores quite quickly. And then But after the second period, when they outshot them 26-4, I was like, what more can you do? And then the third, it was kind of even, and then we headed to overtime. Then Johnny Gaudreau on the power play rips it perfectly. Ottinger robs him. I'm like, oh, this is ridiculous. And then the 4 shots after that, I was like, we're never going to score. This is literally like, this is a piece of plywood. This is literally, there is a piece of plywood in that net. Like, it's just not going in. I don't know why we're even playing. And then Gaudreau finally scores. But Jake Ottinger, that was one of the greatest performances I've ever seen from a goaltender in a series. That was, wow.
I don't think he expected that of himself. He probably obviously wanted to do the best that he could, and he might have even surprised himself with that performance. It was amazing, record setting, and I'm very, very curious on how he comes into next season with this confidence, obviously, that he created during the playoffs. And there's no doubt, especially with that goaltending carousel in Dallas, because you had Ben Bishop, who probably is not going to come back. You have Anton Khudobin, whose career is most likely over. And now you have Jake Ottinger stepping right in at 23 years old. He'll be 24 when the season starts next year. They have a legit number one goalie, and you got to roll with them. So, well, you don't got to, but you're definitely choosing to, and it's a great drafting done by Dallas, because I have a feeling he will be legit. I just don't know if he will be as good or able to sustain as good as he was in the playoffs throughout the entire regular season next year. But he played absolutely amazing, and there's not much more you can ask for from your goaltender. We talked about this when the series started, or when we started talking about playoffs, that a goaltender can easily sway the team and steal a series, and Jake Ottinger almost fucking did it.
Yeah. I agree with you. I think they're sort of in a similar situation that the 2021 Canucks were coming, or 2020-21 Canucks were coming in, except the Canucks won a couple playoff series, but Demko got them as far as they could. And then the Canucks we know what happened there. But they had the goalie to move them forward, and Dallas does too. It's an interesting question what's going to happen in the offseason. I mean, the other one I just want to toss out here, but again, we'll get to the Flames in a quick second. But Miro Heiskanen is a top 10 defenseman, 33 minutes. He's in the upper echelon of defenseman in the league. I know that people didn't talk about him in the same sentences as some of the other ones, but he's there. The question is what you do with Ben and Sagan, because you got to pay Ottinger, you got to pay Jason Robertson. Let's not forget Roope Hintz was a last-minute scratch that game. He is a legit centerman. The question, what you do with Ben and Sagan, what if Rick Bowness is coming back? Those are the three questions. And I'm just going to toss it out there. I know that people are putting Vegas in the Barry Trotz sweepstakes. I think Dallas might be one of the places that he considers. Dallas is going to be a tough team next year.
Just touching on Ben and Sagan. So Ben has 3 more years at 9.5. And then you have Tyler Seguin, locked up 9.85 for the next 6 years. That is absolutely insane. Jamie Benn might be easier for him to. I don't know exactly what his contract looks like laid out, but if you're doing a buyout for potentially buying out Jamie Benn, I don't think it's next year. It might be the year after when he has 2 years left. They do have $18 million in cap space to work with to get Robertson signed, and Robertson, he's going to get fucking paid. He guaranteed he's going to, he'll be up at around 8 million, I think. You want to lock that up long term. You basically get rid of Radulov. He was a healthy scratch multiple times in this series, and his money comes off the books. So then you also have Gurianov, who will get I'm guessing might double his pay right now, close to it. Right now he's 2.55. Probably get him in around 4 million for 3 years. Because he definitely has some upside as well. And then, I think you said this already, Rupe Hintz has arbitration rights after the end of next year. So you got to figure out a little bit of cap issues. But to your point, you have Esa Lindell, Miro Heiskanen locked up long term. Esa Lindell still a legit. He's a hell of a fucking player. And you do have to figure out, okay, what are you doing with John Klingberg? Are you bringing him back, or is there's some love lost there? So there's a lot of questions that you're kind of wondering about in Dallas long term. I think short term is going to be a bit easier, but long term, what do you do with Tyler Seguin and Jamie Benn? Yeah,
that's going to be the question going forward. For them. But enough about them. Let's focus on the Flames here. Let's have some me time. Where to begin here? I guess overall, maybe your takeaways from the Flames' performance in Dallas. I don't know if you heard on Sunday, I called out Matthew Tkachuk. I said that he needed, if he was the person that he thinks he is, he needed to show up. He scored a goal. It was the tying goal. I'll leave it to you if it was enough.
It's a good start. Yeah. Listen, I thought he got, after his 3 games of roughing it up, he finally smartened up and just stick to his hockey and not trying to mix things up and muck it up. And I think every game he progressed just a little bit. I don't think that he was definitely not noticeable enough in the majority of the series. And I thought, definitely Game 7 was the best game that he played. You kind of saw the vintage Matthew Tkachuk, which is exactly what you're wanting to look for in the playoffs. And he scored a hell of a goal. I don't think that's being talked about as much. Everybody's talking about, okay, Johnny Gaudreau. He definitely deserves all the accolades, but that's the first game that I've seen Tkachuk play in a Flames uniform in the playoffs, being as effective as he was. And if you are just watching, or if you're listening to me, you might be thinking wow, he had a hell of a game. No, it wasn't that good. It's not good enough, but it's the right stepping stone in the right direction. I'm curious on how he's going to come out in against Edmonton, and is he going to muck it up, or is he going to stick to his high end skill to show off on the scoreboard? Because the one thing you don't want to do is basically wake up potentially a Darnell Nurse, a Zach Kassian, to take him out essentially. And you got to think that Zach Kassian is definitely going to be trying to do that to Tkachuk. But I think if you are Matthew Tkachuk going to this Battle of Alberta, you want to stick to skill over brawn.
Yeah, this is an interesting dilemma, because just thinking about, as we just jump in here, I guess, to start, this is going to be a really, really emotional series, and I don't think I think it's going to be a lot more emotional than most series. I mean, this is unique, and I'm not trying to be, well, we're from Alberta, or we grew up in Calgary and whatever. This is the greatest thing going. This just has so much personal layers to this rivalry. Like, it would be like it's like the Battle of Florida. It would be like if crowds were around in Toronto, Montreal. Like this is gonna be a special level of intense. And I think the team that keeps it the most professional will be the team that wins. But at the same time, if you're Matthew Tkachuk, you do need to get some sort of engagement in here. Like you're going to have to be a little bit of a pest. So I that's the interesting balance. How do you keep yourself professionally calm? And when is the time that to, get the skill going?
Yeah, I think you stick with the skill straight off the bat. The intensity is going to be there no matter what. If Tkachuk is going to try and muck it up or not, and I'd leave the mucking it up to Lucic, Lewis, Brett Ritchie, like that fourth line. Let them duke it out with the lower half of the Edmonton Oilers, because there will be a time and a place where I think Tkachuk can do that, but I think it's more so when they need a spark or when they need to get going. But until that happens, I think you stay quiet in that category and stick to the skill, because we need that top line going. Calgary needs that top line to be on fire and giving every single chance that they can towards Mike Smith and try and rattle him as much as they can. If they are throwing pucks at the neck as much as they did against Jake Ottinger, I think they have a good shot. And Tkachuk just needs to stick to that to that game, because you don't want him in the penalty box like he was in the first 4 games. You need to stay on 5-on-5. I think it's going to be the same mantra as they did, or as they were pulling out in Dallas. Stay 5-on-5, and you should win.
Yeah, you gotta stay out of the I agree. Stay out of the penalty box. I mean, with 100% Draisaitl or not 100% Draisaitl, that power play is still going to be deadly because of 97. So I do agree that you want to try to stay as calm as possible here. I do agree with that. I think the Flames have the best line in this series when they're on, and that's Lindholm, Gaudreau, and Tkachuk. But the Oilers have Connor McDavid, and that just is and the level he took it in Game 6 and 7. We're going to see a lot of him. I think that I think we may see games where he plays over 30 minutes. I really do. But so I think not allowing the Oilers to get on the power play, I think, is one thing. But at the same time, the one thing that I think that the Oilers are going to, I think the Oilers are the team that I think is going to be the most emotional. First of all, you already talked about Zach Kassian. Quite frankly, I think he deserved more penalties than he got in LA. He was swinging his stick a lot. That's going to be an interesting thing. He was running roughshod on that Kings defense, and that's one thing that needs to end right now. That if Zach Kassian is swinging his stick at Jacob Markstrom, Eric Gudbranson better go in there and say, "Sorry, Zach, you are not going to do that nonsense." And Zach,
I would say more so you want to see that from Lucic than Gudbranson. We've already lost Tanev.
Tanev, yeah. But just in terms of a defenseman, just Gudbranson from a defensive perspective, say no. Yeah. And Zadorov, we're not going to let you do that. You're not doing that shit.
Totally, and like having the right people do it is I think where we really want to make sure that does happen, if it does. And shit's it's gonna go off the rails if it does, and real damn quick. And would not be surprised if you see a fight with I don't know. You think Zach Kassian would fight Lucic, or is that just a bit above Zach Kassian's weight?
I think he will challenge Lucic. I think that's an interesting question. Again, to go back to your point about when to do that. I think Lucic is. I believe that Lucic is smart enough to know when to do it and when not to do it.
I
Because
agree.
I think, to me, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe someone could correct me. I mean, if we have Graham Mosman on here, he might correct me if I'm wrong. But I think that Zach Kassian's going to want to start fighting right away. And I don't know if that's in the Flames. I don't know. I agree with you thinking about this a little bit more. I don't know if the Flames need to do that. I don't know if the Flames if Lucic needs to fight Kassian right away.
I would think that if anything, the first 2 games, well, if you're a Calgary Flame and you are either Zadorov, Lucic, I think you want, if you want to set the tone, you fight someone within the first 5 minutes of the game.
Yeah.
The reason why is because you can get that crowd fucking fired up pretty damn quick. Well, either way, if even if it is instigated by the Edmonton Oilers, but having that crowd fired up and just fucking ready to roar, I think would be absolutely. Oh, it gives me chills thinking about it. The amount of electricity and atmosphere that you could have with that quote unquote 6th man on the ice, well, I guess 7th man. Then it would be, I think, ideal for them to do that right away or sooner than later. But who knows? I think emotions are going to be fucking running high, and it might just happen organically. It might not even be a planned ordeal. I think it's going to be just pure. It would spur of the moment. It's not going to be one of those ones where they drop the gloves right away, just off the opening draw, which would be amazing. But yeah, I think the emotion will definitely be running very, very high.
Yeah. By the way, just saw on Twitter, Chris Tanev is on the ice for practice today.
I would depending on what the injury is. Well, it's great that he's skating. First of all, awesome that he's skating. My one worry is that, okay, how effective is he going to be? Because the game 1 and 2, he was damn good. 3 and 4, he wasn't quite himself, and I don't know if that was a nagging injury or if it just something wasn't just clicking for him. But he made mistakes that you never saw in the regular season. Coughing up the puck, being maybe a bit tentative of or second guessing his intention, and I don't know. It's like I would just hope that if he does come back, that he's closer to 90 to 100% than just gritting it out, because a healthy Chris Tanev is something that is rare, first of all, and I would want to make sure that he's quite 100% up mentally and not worried about going to the corners. And because when the incident happened, it was on the Raffle goal. Oh no, Jimmy Benn goal, and Raffle cross-checked him from behind and kind of laid on top of him. So might be a rib injury, but anyways, happy to see that he is out there and practicing. I just want to make sure he's closer to 100% than not.
In our chat, I suggested that I honestly am surprised, because I honestly thought that Tanev was done for the playoffs. And as Heidi pointed out in the chat, it's non-contact. So I'm clearly not right again. But he didn't play Game 7. I don't know how close. I'm with you. I don't know how close he is to 100%. But what that tells me already, the Flames are going 11-7.
Yeah, with Tanev, you're saying.
Yeah.
Interesting. I'd be very cautious. Like, once again, how effective is he going to be if he is on the ice, right? If he's healthy or if he's close to healthy, absolutely get him out there. And then if you need to take back his minutes a little bit, okay, great. And have him on the PK. All right, that's a good spot for him to be. Just, I guess, sacrificing the body even more, trying to block shots. But Yeah, I just want to make sure that it would be the smartest. I don't know if it would be the smartest thing to do to have him out there. I think going 12-6 would probably be your best bet. But at the same time, yeah, I don't know. Do you see Connor Mackey coming in? And then you'd have 7 defensemen with Connor Mackey and Stone, Goodbranson.
Do you honestly think if Daryl Sutter isn't going to put Adam Ruzicka in this game, in this series, do you really think do you really think he's going to put in Connor Mackey?
I think there might be certain the Flames were very effective having 11 forwards. They were very effective.
Agree.
And I don't think getting Toffoli out there more often than not was a great little strategy. I really enjoyed that, to be honest with you. It's hard to say. It really is. After the first game, I think you'll have a good feeling of the series of like, okay, what exactly are we looking for here? What's Edmonton looking to try and do? Because if that's the case, if you see them be more physical, then okay, you want to make sure that you have Brett Ritchie and you have that fourth line intact. Because if, say, for instance, they one of them goes off and starts fighting, then you lose a player. Then you're down to 11 forwards and 6 defensemen. There's just so many different ways in my mind that this first game could go. It could be all skill, and then emotion gets into it halfway through, or emotion might be just right there, and they could be just a bit of a big flex on either side.
Yeah. Like for me, I'm not like it's an awkward place to put a rookie defenseman for sure in Connor Mackey. But the other side of that argument, there's 2 things that are also blending through my mind here. The Oilers moved Josh Archibald to the left side, which is Tanev's side. He averaged, I think he was averaging around 10 hits a game for the Oilers. And I think one of the things the Oilers are going to hit him. Like if I'm the Oilers, I'm hitting Chris Tanev whenever I can. Even if I just have to rub him a little bit, you're gonna wear him down. So the other side of that is I think Connor Mackey brings. He may not have the experience, but I do think he has the skating to at least alleviate some of that physical play that I think the Oilers are going to bring. That's the other side of that.
It's fair. And you got to expect that Calgary's going to do the same thing with Evan Bouchard.
Yep.
Target the shit out of him. And right now he is playing with Duncan Keith, who he could be a nasty fucking player too. So it's funny how that top line is with Cody Ceci and Brett Kulak. You would have never guessed that. I would have never guessed that as their quote unquote number 1 line. But right now, that's what Daily Faceoff has touted for that. But to your point about Tanev, yeah, he's easy to he can't get out of those sketchy situations, and so yeah, it is a tough spot for if Connor Mackey does decide to come in. It is a tough spot for him to step into such a physical. It will be a physical series, and don't know how fleet of foot he is, because you do not want to get hit in what you want to get hit at the least amount within this series, because it's going to be rough.
Yeah. And like with Archibald and Cassius specifically, like they were hitting to make sure that the glass was and the boards were shaking. Like that was the intent. It wasn't just to hit. It was hit for effect.
Yep.
So that's a bit different. But I think that brings us to the other three. With Shillington, though, I think the big thing with him is, of course, he's not that physical of it. Like we don't look at him as that physical of a defenseman. He's more of a puck mover, and he's going to have to move the puck quickly. Rasmus Anderson and Noah Hannafin are going to have to take their game to another level. Just flat out. And I'm not saying that they were bad. I thought Noah Hannafin was really good for most part in Game 7.
Yep.
But it's just another. It's another level. It's as you play, you're going to have to give a little bit more, and they're going to have to give a little bit more.
Especially with McDavid. Just if Connor McDavid is going to take over this series, then yeah, you really hope that the defense are up for that challenge. Oliver Shillington, first of all, hopefully he's 100% or close to it.
Yeah, that too.
That shoulder didn't look that good. I thought it was a broken clavicle, or not broken, but a fractured. Just the way that he reacted on the bench. Might be a good possibility that might be the case. Maybe a rotator cuff, who knows? But he did come back. I'm assuming that they put some shots of whatever into his shoulder just to numb the pain and get back out there, kind of thing. But you got to expect that he will be wheeling and dealing like he normally does. It just got to make sure that he's making the right decisions with that puck, because there's been times where he has been skating very well and like, okay, all right, this looks good, and then he gives the puck away, just because either A, he didn't want to be hit, or B, he just got nervous and wasn't really ready for the playoffs and the intensity and the speed within that within this time of year. So if he is playing, he's got to be smart with the puck. Put it in spots that aren't dangerous, which is off the boards, off the glass, whatever the case may be. As long as it's not in your defensive zone and you can regroup and get that puck out, that's all that matters.
Yeah, for sure. By the way, I don't think Daily Faceoff has updated their line combinations with the Oilers because they don't have Darnell Nurse on the roster. And I think this was after he got suspended.
Yeah, that's fair. Actually, completely fair.
Yeah.
Last update was May 12th. So.
Yeah, I think that was after. Yeah, it's been a while, but yeah, I agree with you, Oliver Shillington. I think, concerned about that arm. I'm also a little touch concerned about Zadorov. I don't know if he's 100%. He took it looked like a bit of a leg injury, lower body injury.
Oh, when he hit when he went into the goal post.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think that was more so for show, to be honest. Maybe trying to get a call. I wouldn't be too concerned about it. But the most concern is obviously Tanev, then Shillington, and then you could definitely say Zadorov after that.
So I guess in terms of defense, I think and I mean let's again just the two unsung heroes in that Flames series. Michael Stone is the first one coming in. He played 11 games all year. He jumped into the situation. He did everything that they asked of him. He's one unsung hero, and Trevor Lewis is the other one. Trevor Lewis, going back to that was such a good ad for the Flames. Versatility, played center, played wing, crashed and banged. Worked the zone well. He just did everything really well. Those are the two unsung heroes. Without them, I don't know if the Flames win the series.
Yeah, Trevor Lewis, he's a warrior. You really understand why Daryl Sutter trusts him so much. He'll get into it if he needs to, but normally if there's a scrum, he just grabs a guy and just makes sure that he doesn't do it. The opposing player doesn't do any damage to anybody else pretty much, but he's just so effective with his forecheck, with his he finishes his checks. Yes, he's a big guy, he's 6'2", but I think he's about 210, 215. He's a bigger guy, but he doesn't really use it that much, but he's very effective in the way that he skates, and he knows his role. So I agree with you that he was definitely one of the unsung heroes. And Michael Stone, who would have thought he would have had an assist in that game, played 21-30, and with 2 minutes on the power play as well. He played more than Oliver Shillington, so that kind of shows exactly where Daryl Sutter kind of has him in that lineup. And granted, everybody kind of played very similar minutes, especially after that. Gabranson with 25-41, Hannafin 27-28 for both Zadorov and Anderson. It's once again, it's by committee. Michael Stone is he knows what he needs to be doing to make himself successful, which is shoot the puck and hit people. The one thing that I would be concerned about with this defensive core is its foot speed, especially with Connor McDavid. He's made a lot of people look stupid, and with this as big as this defense is in Calgary, that's one of my concerns going into it. But yeah, I would agree with you, and I just want to touch on Tyler Toffoli as well. He scored a goal, and I was beating his drum for ever since about game 4, where he started just slowly. Every single game, he got a little bit better, and he got a little bit better, and he got Ottingered, if you will, multiple times, especially in game 5. He had a bunch of chances. He had 2 massive chances that Ottinger just he was amazing, as we were talking about at the top of the show. So I expect him to be rolling into this series as well. And one other player is Michael Backlund. Like you said, you start off with that massive hit in game 5, or sorry, in game 7. And I thought he was very, very effective with anytime that he had the puck. He was always making smart plays, getting pucks in deep, getting out of his defensive zone. And I expect the exact same out of him going against Connor McDavid and Leon Draisaitl. And obviously Draisaitl's not 100% either.
No. And Blake Coleman. Blake Coleman was another guy that did yeoman's work out there, played like a champ, especially in game 5. That penalty kill in game 5, late in the third there after the Flames took the lead. That was huge. Yeah, I mean, Yarncrow, I thought Yarncrow played well. He never scored, but he played well. Yeah, lots of Flames played well. I think there's still a lot of Flames. And Jacob Markstrom, he was game 7. Yeah, he allowed that early goal, and then he allowed the Nemestikov goal quickly after that. But he made some 10-bellers. He made some really big saves, especially in game 5 when it could have been 2-0. Especially also in game 6, when it could have been 3-0. He allowed them to come back. I think Jacob Markstrom deserves a lot of credit too.
Yep. He's amazing. He really is. The fact that he is able to make those 10-bell saves and without having that much feel for the game because of the stretches of time in between getting shots is amazing. And let alone having those odd man rushes and being able to get across to make that save is, yeah, he definitely unsung hero. Wasn't really talked about too much because of how well Jake Ottinger was playing on the other side. But listen, going into this series, if there's going to be one goalie that's going to steal this, I think it's going to be my money's on Markstrom over Mike Smith.
Yeah. I think that definitely. I think the very obvious goaltending advantage is to Calgary, but the one thing, like, just to go to the Kings Oilers series just for a moment here, and I said this, I think if the Kings had some semblance of offense, I think they would have won the series. Even at Connor McDavid at top flight. I look back at that one game. I mean, the Oilers dominated most of the game, no question about it. It was all Oilers, but I just, like, there were a couple of times the Kings were. We talked about Mike Smith and shot volume, and sometimes he's more effective when he gets a lot of shots. There were a couple of times that I thought Smith looked. I mean, good job, he got the shutout. But there were a couple of times pucks behind the net. Smith wanted to handle it. He wanted to get his stick on the puck, and the Kings had some scoring. That might have been a different result.
Yeah, that'll be the difference right there. Is the fact that Calgary does have that offense. They can show up, and but they're still on the opposite side of it. I think that Mike Smith can't steal a game. I think I think we definitely will steal a game this series, but the overall, I mean, we've all seen it. Flames and Oilers fans on both sides of the puck, he can fuck it up pretty damn quick too. And if you're Calgary, you're dumping that puck in and hoping he's playing it, and then you, just get pressure on him, get in his face, get in his grill. He was talking yesterday about how he needs to stay calm, cool, collective, and not be as emotionally engaged as he normally is. If you're getting in front of him and you're making it hard for him to see pucks, you know he's going to take a fucking penalty. You know he's going to be slashing the back of your legs and getting fired up. And that's usually when he either A, plays really, really well, or is over emotional and takes a penalty, takes a stupid, makes a stupid play on the boards with the puck. So if you're Calgary, that's exactly what you're doing. You're going to want him get involved, fired up.
Yeah, that's what I think the game plan is. Dump the puck in, see if you let him play it, and see what happens.
Yep.
With Lucic, Lewis, and whoever is going to play with him line, I think will be physical enough, forecheck enough, and they didn't get in Ottinger's grill enough in this series, and last series, I think they need to do that against Smith.
Yep.
As Dylan says, though, this is the point of the episode. I guess I talk out of my ass in fluent English. Oh, wow. At 42:35, is this the time I do that?
Right on cue.
Right on cue. And I think for the Oilers, the other thing, just in terms of the Oilers here, they were 13-3 since that 9-5 debacle in Calgary, where they had to switch from Koskinen to Smith. But I mean, they allowed, I think if I have this right, they allowed three or more goals, three times. Minnesota, Columbus, which I don't think that game meant much. San Jose, that game didn't mean much either. And then St. Louis got 5 on them there as well. So they kind of got their game together. I think Jay Woodcroft has calmed the waters there for sure. Zach Hyman, I think, has been exactly what the Oilers have needed. But I guess the concern, of course, is the defense overall. That's one thing. And, I wonder if Ryan Nugent-Hopkins is healthy. That's the one thing I wonder, because he doesn't look healthy to me. He looks, I'm not a doctor, but I'll play one on TV and I'll talk out of my ass. He looks injured to me. Yeah,
I only watched a few of those games, but yes, he didn't look right. If the Oilers are going to be effective, they need to find a way to shut down that Tkachuk line. The Gaudreau line, and shut down Gaudreau and Lindholm, because those two have been they've been damn good. And if your shutdown center is not playing the way that, or if he's not 100%. Yeah, it definitely puts a lot of question marks up in the air. And if you really looked up and down the lineup, I would take the Flames forwards over the Oilers forwards. And that's not me putting on my Flames colors and pounding the Harvey the Hound drum. I think that Calgary does have the depth within this lineup that can outplay the depth of the Oilers, and without Ryan Nugent-Hopkins at 100%, it makes it a lot harder.
Yeah, and again, I think the nullifier, the great nullifier of this is Connor McDavid, and how the Oilers are going to play him and how the Flames are going to defend him, because they won't line match him. And if he's going to be double shifted, you just are going to want to roll your four lines. You're going to want to keep your energy up here. That's the one thing that is that it just, you're right. I agree with you. The Flames have the depth of defense, but I don't think I think the Oilers know that, and they'll play McDavid to supplant that issue. Like I joked with Sean, Connor, you might as well put Connor daily faceoff. Might as well just have Connor McDavid as the center of all four lines, because he's literally going to do it.
Well, if that happens, my question is, how long does it take for Connor McDavid to be burnt out? He can play amazing, and it doesn't seem like he gets tired often. But if you're going down into Game 7, Game 6, and you have to rely on Connor McDavid to get back in every single game, because that's the way I see this guy's series going. Is I think that it's going to go 6 or 7 games, and if you're relying on McDavid to win you 3 of those games, or even 4 of those games, if they are able to get past the Calgary Flames, how much does he have left in his tank? Like realistically, not even just in this series, but you still have 2 more series after this. I don't the longevity of the Edmonton Oilers within this playoffs, it runs out once Connor McDavid is burnt out, and that's I think the double-edged sword there is, you want to play him a shit ton, but you got to make sure that it's a marathon, not a sprint.
Yeah, I wonder if this in the first 4 series we don't see as much McDavid. Like we see a lot of McDavid, but when it gets to the nitty gritty of this series, that's when we'll see McDavid a little bit. That's when the double shifting to McDavid will happen.
Totally, and that's when you see the double shifting of Johnny Gaudreau is my guess. Which I really do believe that they will at some point in this series go 11-7, like we were talking about before, and you start seeing Johnny Gaudreau being sprinkled in on that third or second line, along with Tyler Toffoli sprinkled in, and depending on how Tkachuk's playing, get him down there playing a little bit more. I don't know if you, for the first maybe 2 or 3 games, I don't know if you really push Connor McDavid to do more, unless you really do need him, unless the Edmonton Oilers decide or are down a little bit, then you do see McDavid play a little bit more. But yeah, I think you got to be very cautious if you're Jay Woodcroft to how you deploy McDavid and how much. Yeah,
especially when you're gonna. I mean, they're going to play Draisaitl as much as possible, even at a not 100%. I'm expecting Draisaitl to play the same role that he has played the whole time.
Mm-hmm. Just how effective is he going to be, though? Because he did not look good in Game 7.
Well, I think that's the other thing that the Flames are going to have to do. They're going to have to hit him. Like, yep. The Oilers are going to have to hit Tanev. I think the Flames are going to have to hit Draisaitl. Let's see where he's at. Let's see how. Please understand, I'm not advocating for murder or dirty play. I'm just advocating that you're physical on him. That you hit him when you can. You just get a body on him. You wear him down. You finish your checks. That's all you need to do.
And if you're in a scrum, you grab him and you make it awkward for him. Like yep. That's the reality of playoffs. Violence is honestly, this is going to be a violent series, and the more that you can wear and tear on the players that are struggling, especially of how important Leon Draisaitl is to that organization. Absolutely, you fucking do it. You get Lucic on there, you get Brett Ritchie on there. That entire defense. Easily can rough it up for him. Mangiapane, he's not going to be backing down for fucking anybody, especially Leon Draisaitl. And the one person we actually haven't talked about either is Evander Kane.
Yeah, I was about to get him. He's a tough topic for me, but we have to talk about him. To me, effective offensively, no question about it. Has a personality that either you like or you don't in terms of his on ice. And I'm just going to strictly stick to his on ice play at this point. But I think if you put Evander Kane in defensive situations where he needs to defend, I don't think he's as effective. And if I think the Flames can do that, that will help a lot. Try to pit him in the zone, in his own zone. Try to put him in situations where he needs to be a defensive forward or play some sort of defense. He's just simply not as effective. He's a more offensively talented player than he is a 200-foot player. And the Oilers faithful can come with me with a sheet of stats of the amount of goals that Evander Kane scored. And yes, he scored 7, but I'll go back to game 5 in that overtime. He was one of the players on the ice and that did not get the job done. And it was part of his coverage that a couple people pointed out, again, as I'm talking out of my ass in fluid English, that he just, you put him in defensive situations, you pin him in his own end. He's just simply not as effective.
I agree with you. His defense is not the best, and that's exactly what you expect to do, and that's what you need to do if you're the Calgary Flames. And he's going to be physical. He's going to be hitting people left, right, and center. I think that if you do hem him in their own zone, he'll fuck up, and it'll be an opportunity for the Flames. So it just got to make sure that you have the proper guys on the ice to take care of him and check him properly in the Flames defensive zone. And I don't think he'll be much of an issue. And I talk about a guy who might be able to drop the gloves with Lucic. He's one of them, along with Darnell Nurse.
Yeah. Oh, Darnell Nurse will be one I like. I respect Darnell Nurse. I respect Connor McDavid. I respect Ryan Nugent-Hopkins. I even respect Zach Hyman. There's some players on there I respect. Just to me, that's how I think you make Evander Kane ineffective. Is you force him into situations he's not comfortable with, and that seems to me to be the defensive zone.
Yep, for sure.
Who are some of the X factors in this series?
Well, for the Oilers, I think Zach Hyman is an X factor. He's a workhorse. He cycles the puck really well. He checks very, very well. He hits well. Overall, probably one of their best 200-foot player, 3-zone player, and responsible. So he's definitely an X factor. And Kyler Yamamoto on that top line. I think if the Oilers are going to do, if they're going to come out on top, Kyler Yamamoto needs to be there, and he needs to make sure that he's effective in every single way, shape, or form. I mean, other than the obvious Connor McDavid, but if going up and down the Flames side of things, other than the obvious of Johnny Gaudreau, Lindholm, and Tkachuk, I think you got to look for Dylan Dubé, Mangiapane, and Tyler Toffoli to step up offensively. You got to look for that middle six scoring, and those guys need to show up along with Blake Coleman.
Yeah. I agree. I think Mangiapane, Dylan Dubé, and Yarncrow did not score in the last series. I do think they will need to score at some point.
Yarncrow had a really good chance. Center ice. I think that was, or right in the slot. I think that was OT or third period, one of the two. So he's buzzing too a little bit.
Yeah. But this is the other thing with. They went to overtime against Dallas. We talked a little bit about adversity, and we had this debate if the Flames had any adversity. How much does winning in overtime help in the second round?
It gets your head right.
Yeah.
The transition from, especially Game 7, that pressure, if it happens again, it's not going to be there. It's not going to be as nerve-wracking, and the jitters aren't going to be as quite there because you've been there before, you've done it. And also depends on how you get to OT. I have no doubt in my mind that it will happen here and in this series. And if you get scored on late in the third period, that's the overtime goal that gets you to overtime, the goal that gets you to overtime, then yeah, your mindset's a bit different. But going through the process, especially for the majority of these players who haven't really done much in the playoffs before, that's a big learning curve. And I think that definitely going to Game 7 OT helps with that process.
Just thinking about a guy like Matthew Tkachuk too, who didn't have that great of a series. This is an opportunity for him to almost redeem himself. Even Rasmus Andersson, who I didn't think had the best series. I think he had his moments, but for Rasmus Andersson, this is going to be this is almost an opportunity for redemption.
Absolutely. Those players who did not show up in the first round, you better hope that they put their work boots on and their hard hat and come to work, because they need to. They absolutely need to. There's a lot of positives that I saw out of the last 2 to 3 games of game 5, 6, 7. Like I said, Toffoli, he showed up finally and scored a goal. Tkachuk scored a goal. Dubé, he's buzzing really well. Mangiapane scored in Game 5. So there are good things that are happening. It's just we need the consistency, especially from Matthew Tkachuk. You got to be looking at that top line to really pull them in, and you know that fourth line is going to be pulling them in and creating a lot of energy, making hits, making them second guess, look over their shoulder, especially if they can get the puck into the corner where Mike Smith can't handle the puck. Then you fucking run that defense hard. So there's a lot of redemption, there's a lot of chance for redemption for those players. And once again, as long as they're consistent with their play and it's good to decent play, yeah, I think the Flames are going to be successful.
Yeah. The other X factor in this is media. And, like, as Sean is in the chat here, but, he's accused us of drinking Daryl Sutter's Kool-Aid. And Daryl Sutter is going to play, and he's already pointed out, Daryl Sutter is going to play about the favorite. And you know what he's going to do. You already know what he's going to do. Connor McDavid's the best player in the league. They're definitely the favorites. When we penciled in, when we at the beginning of the season, we had a circle the Vegas Golden Knights, the Edmonton Oilers as the 2 best teams in the Pacific Division. They're the favorites. We've done nothing. We've only won one round. Connor McDavid's the best player in the league, and such,
Yep, it's you know it's gonna be.
Shut up, Eric Francis. And then
yeah, he will be he'll be playing those games, and rightfully so. That's Daryl Sutter, and I'll drink his Kool-Aid. I'll drink it all day fucking long. I mean, definitely the Flames have the upper hand, I think, going into this series. I haven't looked at the betting on this, but I would assume that Calgary is the favorite within that realm as well. So I'd be very interested to see Jay Woodcroft and how he conducts himself, because he has been shown to show a little bit of emotion every once in a while during a press conference, but otherwise he's pretty cool, calm, and collective. And Daryl Sutter, he made some really good. He had some good sound bites going into Game 7. So how do you feel this morning? Well, I saw some baby ducks. It was a good morning.
And then after, I got a curfew at midnight.
Yeah,
I don't know how much of this schedule is going to throw him off. That 8:30 game. Yeah. That 8:30 game, he's going to be like, oh, okay, I got to go. Sorry.
Especially goes into OT. Oh my God. Yeah.
Yeah. And also, I also think the other part of this is what the players say in the media. What does Evander Kane, Zach Kassian for the Oilers? Those media conversationalists. Matthew Tkachuk sometimes says some things in the media. Bulletin board. I imagine that both teams are going to be like, you all need to shut up. Like, you just say the right thing. You don't say bulletin board material. Yep. But that's the big X factor in this is how is it going to be played in the media? Because it's that one game within the game.
Well, Eric Francis, how are you talking to Woodcroft? How are you talking to Evander Kane? Poking and prodding maybe just a little bit, and you got to expect the other way too.
Do you think any Flames media is going to ask Leon Draisaitl why he's so pissy?
If they want to get back into have the credentials, I think you keep your mouth shut within that. But if you really want to make an X factor, I could definitely see McDavid or Draisaitl, if he hears that again, just stand up and walk away. He's like, "Fuck this, I'm out of here."
Why so pissy, Leon? I'm just kidding. No, but yeah, I think that's the other factor. The betting odds favorite is the Flames. I think a lot of people would agree with that. But who do you think most of, to use a wrestling term, who's the baby face and who's the heel in this series? Who's the team that everybody's going to be cheering for?
Oh, like the majority of North America, who are they going to be cheering for? Or the world, I guess, depending on where you are. Because, there's obviously a lot of Flames fans that are over, especially in Sweden.
Already got one Edmonton media member said that Edmonton's Canada's team now. And I said, that's fine. Calgary's Sweden's team.
That's a good quirk. That's a good question, though. I would want to say probably Calgary is the heel.
Yeah.
And then if you have Edmonton being the baby face, just because of Matthew Tkachuk, not a lot of people like him. The friendship tour. And then the only way that I could see a heel coming out of Edmonton would be probably Evander Kane. He's a controversial figure, but I don't think it's much of a difference between them. But probably Calgary the heel.
I think the Oilers are the baby faces simply because people want to see more Connor McDavid. And in the next round, if the Oilers and Abs win, it's McDavid versus McKinnon.
Yep.
So yep. I think that's going to be that. I think the Oilers are the baby faces. I think that's where most of the team is going to, and that's great. Feel free. This is something that I think the Flames could wear this black hat, wear it. Enjoy it. Embrace it.
It's just like the Canucks in 2011.
Yep.
Right? No one outside of BC or Vancouver, Lower Mainland really wanted Vancouver to win. And this whole notion that there is a Canada's team, I think that's ridiculous. I think it's so fucking stupid. It's stupid. I'm sorry. Like, I love David Amber, but some of the comments that he's made is just like it doesn't make sense. Yes, there hasn't been a cup winner since what, 91?
94.
94?
93, sorry.
93. Yeah. You want to see the cup back up in Canada, but on the opposite side of things, you take a look at the on the majority of Stanley Cup winning teams, there's always going to be Canadians.
Yep. And listen, whoever moves on, I don't expect Flames fans will be cheering for the Oilers because they're from Canada. Not. And I don't expect Oiler fans to be cheering for the Flames if the Flames move on.
Yeah. No, I always cheer for, for instance, Tampa Bay. If they keep going, I'm not cheering for Tampa Bay. I'm sick of them winning. I don't want it to be a dynasty. Looking more so for the underdogs like Florida. Haven't seen them do much. Since what, 97, right? The whole throwing the rats on the ice.
I believe that was 96.
96. Yeah. No, yep, you're right. 96. But yeah, you look for. I just look for storylines. I don't care about bringing the cup up, above the border into Canada. That's just such a media driven storyline, and I'm sick of it.
Yeah. I agree. So I am not going to pick a winner publicly, but I think this is going 7.
Interesting. Well, yeah, I think it's gonna go 7, and Flames are gonna win in 7.
Okay.
Yeah.
My philosophy is expect a 7-game series, and if we're surprised it's shorter.
Yep. Yeah. For sure. Yeah. No matter what, it's gonna be a battle, and it's gonna be fucking entertaining. On both sides of it. I got a bunch of Oilers buddies and obviously some Flames fans in my life, and yeah, there's gonna be some chirping.
It's gonna be interesting in Alberta too. I think it'll be, the red mile. It's gonna get Calgary hopping. White Ave, Edmonton's gonna get hopping. Downtown Edmonton's gonna get hopping.
The white lot.
Is it called the white lot? What is it called?
I have no
lot? Blue lot?
No, it's a stupid lot.
The dumbass lot. Yeah. Yeah. But yeah, I think it'll be an interesting 2 weeks in Calgary and Edmonton. And we're looking forward to it. By the way, 1991, some of the things that were going on at the time. The top television shows were Roseanne, Murphy Brown, Cheers, Home Improvement, Designing Women, Full House, and Murder, She Wrote were some of the and then music in as I pull this up, I had this up and then I was looking for something else. Music in 1991, some of the hits included REM's Losing My Religion, Lenny Kravitz, It Ain't Over Till It's Over, Bryan Adams, Everything I Do It For You, Life is a Highway from Tom Cochrane, Soundgarden, Guns N' Roses, Amy Grant's Baby Baby, Metallica's Enter Sandman was it 1991.
Holy shit. It's a long time ago.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then movies, before we move on here, we got to fit the culture in this too. Movies that year, Star Trek 6, Point Break, Backdraft, Cape Fear, which The Simpsons did a phenomenal job over the years of mocking or paying tribute to. The Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Terminator 2, that was a great movie. Last Boy Scout, Silence of the Lambs,
Robin Hood with Kevin Costner.
Yes, yeah, it was JFK. Yeah, it was quite a year.
Yeah, it definitely was.
Yeah. All right, let's just touch on some of the other stuff that's going on here. Of course, to Devin's, your stage, our stage right, Devin's left, the Toronto Maple Leafs and the Tampa Bay Lightning. I know you're not happy with Tampa Bay and you don't want them to win, but I said this on Sunday. Their sticks were everywhere. They deserve all the credit in the world for how they shut down the Leafs in the third period. That was champion. They showed why they were the champions. Anthony Cirelli was just simply unbelievable. That the moment of Braden Point on the bench, and I don't know if we see him again in the playoffs or not. That's going to be a fascinating question.
It doesn't look good.
No, I know he's not playing tonight. So all the credit in the world, I think, is deserved. And Andre Vasilevsky, after 6 straight games of allowing 3 goals or more. He shut it down, and the player that you wanted with the Calgary Flames, Nick Paul, scores 2 goals and knocks off the Leafs. So I get this praise out for Tampa Bay. I know you don't want to praise Tampa Bay, but we kind of talked about this a little bit. This is interesting perspective. This is sort of, to use a comparison, this is sort of 1991 Flames similar thing. They lost to a really, really good team in a 7-game series that you could do one of 2 things here. You could panic and make a whole bunch of drastic moves that may or may not work, or you could do nothing and just say, let's keep the course. But either way, this is probably, as much as you're navigating anything here, what Kyle Dubas's decisions here are probably the most important, because it was a little different. It wasn't extremely different, but it was a little different here in terms of that you didn't play Columbus, you didn't play Montreal, you didn't play Boston, you played the 2-time Stanley Cup champion. And I would argue you would beat Minnesota. I would argue that you would have beaten LA. I would argue you would have beaten most of the teams that were eliminated in the first round. You just got Tampa. So that's the question. How do you handle this?
You're right. You don't want to overreact. You want to make sure that every decision is calculated. I've heard a lot of storylines of, if you got to do anything, you trade John Tavares. John Tavares has a no movement clause. He's not going anywhere.
And it's $11 million.
Yep.
That is, in this cap world, that's a hard move.
You definitely have to, if he does move, you have to get his sign off on it. That's not happening. That's not happening. Then everybody was going to come back and say, okay, well, how about William Nylander? William Nylander, yeah, he shies away from physicality, and so he's not really a massive playoff performer for me. Probably one of the best ones that you could, obviously, he's making what, 6.9 million, and you could probably get a good player for that. But who are you replacing those 30 goals with? If you're going to trade somebody, you want to get somebody on the defensive side of things, I think, to shore up that defense. Going into next year, you lose Mark Giordano, Lyubushkin, and then Sandin and Liljegren are RFAs. So you have to sign those 2. You got to think that they're probably going to do a bridge deal for both of those players. Sandin's probably going to get a little bit more than Liljegren, maybe a year or 2 more. But you only have $7.8 million in projected cap, let alone you lose Jack Campbell. You're not going to get him back at 1.6. So you got to figure out, okay, well, we do have Peter Mrazek, the hurt bag himself, for another 2 years at 3.8. So you got to get one more goalie. Do you go with Eric Kallgren and see how he develops into a 1B, 1A goalie, tandem goalie with Peter Mrazek? You might have to do that out of pure desperation and not being able to, not being able to sign a decent goalie more than league minimum, essentially, because you got to figure out, okay, where's your who you're placing Mark Giordano with? Is he going to stay? There's so many different avenues and streets that you have to go down to figure out what's going to happen with this. You also have Kasha and Pierre Engvall with our RFA with arbitration rights, which is, I don't think they're going to get that much money or much more money, essentially, if they do go to arbitration. There's a lot of question marks here on this team. Ilya Mikheyev is a UFA as well, and he was a massive part in that on the PK. He had so many penalty kill chances, and he had a few goals, at least one in the regular season, and he's a workhorse too. So, what do you do with this team? Do you try and trade Alexander Kerfoot? He has one more year left at 3.5 just to make a bit more cap space, cap flexibility. He played pretty decent in the playoffs, and he's very diverse. He can play the wing or center. Holy shit. I don't know exactly what you're going to do. If you do trade for anybody, you want to make sure it is for a defense. You want to make sure that defense is just a bit better than it was last year. Morgan Rielly can only do so much. Justin Hall, he has one more year left at $2 million. You want to make sure that he's playing less minutes than he has been. Jake Muzzin just needs to be healthy. TJ Brody, keep doing what he's doing. He's formidable in that top four. Oh, God, I really have no idea.
Well,
every year, it's always the same shit. It's always the same shit. We have a playoff contender,
4 defensemen over the age of 30. There's a very interesting debate about what you do with Jack Campbell. He's 30. He's going to be asking for a lot.
He'll be asking at least 4.
Yeah. Do you give $4 million? Like we keep talking about this with other 30-year-olds. Is that a legitimate question with Campbell of what you're paying, and where else are you going to find a goalie? That's I guess that question. You in terms of forwards, you get Nick Robertson, I think should take a step. Michael Bunting was a nice little find for sure. Nick Abruzzi, I think he'll be there. The question is what you do with Liljegren and Sandin. Are they ready to take that next step? We talked about Gio on Sunday. There's a part of me that says it's either Toronto or nothing, but if a contender tosses him a bit more money, that's an interesting question, but it's going to be a 1 year.
1 year, but it could be $2 million essentially.
Yeah. I didn't realize that Justin Hall I forgot that Justin Hall was 30 years old, but I don't know, even if you trade him, do you get a lot for him?
It'd be a cap dump essentially, for a, fourth, fifth rounder essentially.
And it might be best for him to get out of Toronto.
Yeah. Exactly, like we talked about.
And then I guess the other part is in terms of forwards, do you have that forward that can either be strong enough to take the defense, wear down that defense and get to the front of the net, or fast enough to break through? I know that one name has been tossed out there that we follow is the idea of JT Miller. That's an interesting name, I guess. I don't know if that makes a heck of a lot of sense, but I'll toss a name out maybe after the second round of these playoffs, should things go a certain way. But maybe that's one thing. And in turn, I do agree with you. They need to get a little bit younger on defense. And they'll need Sandin and Liljegren to take the next step. That will be really important. In terms of coaching, there's already people tossing this idea out that you bring in Barry Trotz, you go instead of Sheldon Keefe. I don't see Dubas doing it. I see why people are asking for it, but I don't see Dubas doing it.
No, I think but the one thing you can do is make sure that I'd go 60% of a coaching change. I think there's more chance of a coaching change than there isn't. You need something to change up that locker room. If you're not going to be trading one of those top 4, it's not going to be Matthews. I could definitely see a wild card trade for Marner. But once again, what are you bringing back? if you are trading those players. But as far as the coaching goes, yeah, I could definitely see a change in coaching. I don't know if it's going to be Barry Trotz, though. I don't think that Trotz will want to come here. I think that Trotz is a better fit out in Manitoba. Granted, he probably won't get paid as well as he would in Toronto. Actually, that's for sure. He won't get paid as well as Toronto because the True North group, they tend to pinch their pennies when it comes to pretty much everything. They are a budget team. So if Trotz is going back to Winnipeg, it's for a hometown discount, if you will. So who else is out there? I guess, right?
Pete DeBoer.
Oh God, I don't want Pete DeBoer there. He might be, but I don't think that he's a good fit within that system or within those players, essentially. But who knows? Like there could be a few more coaching vacancies here, especially with after this next round. Say for instance, Colorado gets bounced. I don't see God, what's his name? The head coach there coming back.
Bednar?
Yeah, Bednar. I don't see him coming back. So he could be up for grabs.
Yeah.
How about Pittsburgh? You see Sullivan coming back there? I don't know.
I don't see that being a change. But yeah, I don't see that being a change at all. I think Sullivan remains there. Maybe Paul Maurice if he was there before.
Maybe. I just think that you can't. I think if you come into next season without making a little bit of not a massive mind-blowing change, but going in with the same group as you did this year, I'd say that is a mistake. I think you do need a bit of a change. You might need a change of there needs to be change.
Let me toss one out to you that I asked Sean, and I did see someone's post this on Twitter, so I don't think I might not be too far out of left field here. But we saw this in San Jose. Joe Thornton gave the captaincy to Joe Pavelski. Do you see Tavares handing that C off to someone?
I could see him handing it off. I don't think that Toronto strips it of him.
No.
And well, who do you give it to? Do you give it to the best player on your team, Austin Matthews? Do you give it to Morgan Riley? I think that might be, if that does happen, Morgan Riley is definitely the number one on my list that I would give it to. We talked about when they were going to announce their captain that it probably was going to be Tavares or Matthews, but the sneaky good pick was Morgan Riley.
Yep.
But I don't see that happening. I'd say that's a 30-25% chance of happening. But if it does, I'd say Morgan Riley is probably the number one for me at least. Yeah.
Dylan brought this up. Defenseman Troy from Richmond.
Be a good bargain piece. I don't, but that's not what I'm like. If I'm Kyle Dubas, I'm looking for a top four defenseman and like a solidified top four defenseman, not a Troy Stetcher who can move up and down the lineup. You need a solid second line defenseman.
Let me see who's out there quickly and a defenseman
for RFAs or UFAs.
Yeah. Just quick. Chris Letang. Duh.
Well, yeah, maybe. That'd be he'd be expensive, but that'd be a good one.
And 35, you got. There's not a lot out there that moves a needle for me. Here, Nick Leddy's fine, but I don't think he moves the needle.
Nope.
Yeah, there's just not a lot. Oli Mata, Justin Schultz doesn't move the needle for me. Yeah, there's just not a lot out there.
And they don't have much draft capital either. They only have three picks in this coming draft.
Yeah, Calgary and Toronto, like Brad and Kyle maybe should just like plan their own trip elsewhere. They don't need to go to Montreal. They don't have any picks.
send the AGMs and the scouts. That's it. Yeah.
Jean-Guy wants you to take Nate Schmidt. Toronto will give the Jets will give a third.
Oh, Jesus Christ. No.
Okay. Fine.
No.
Maybe just one more name. OEL.
No.
At if the Canucks buy him out.
If they buy him out, yeah, it depends on what you're signing him for. But he's gonna want more, or he's gonna want a decent amount of coin, and Toronto won't be able to pay him as much as you could probably get down in Carolina, LA. You know, maybe he stays on the West Coast. I don't know. I don't see that being a fit.
Fair. What about the other series? Anything interesting here? What are you looking forward to?
Battle of Florida is going to be unfucking believable. I'm so excited for that one. That one's going to be great. That series and Calgary are the two that I'm going to be glued to. Obviously the Blues and Avalanche, that's a rematch from last year, and very, very much looking forward to that. But it comes down to goaltending for me in that series, especially on the Blues side. You've got to expect that Binnington's going to be the one going for the Blues until he falters, unless they want to go back and forth. But that'll be the deciding factor for me in that series. A sneaky good one is going to be the Carolina Rangers series as well. That one's going to be sneaky good too. Honestly, all of these second round matchups are must watch essentially. But the top two obviously are the Battle of Alberta and Battle of Florida. So those are my top two.
Yeah, I think those would be. I think we're in St. Louis, Colorado. I think that will be more of a barn burner than people think. And Rangers, Carolina. Igor finds ways to give the Rangers a chance to win. Carolina, that will be a quietly good series as well.
Yeah. So my prediction will be for Carolina, Rangers. Carolina, I think is going to be in 6. Who do you got?
Oh, you're making me pick. I'm going to go with the Rangers, to be honest with you. I just think that Igor gives them too much of a chance. Freddie not healthy. I got to go with the Rangers.
Okay. All right. I want to go Florida in 7 against Tampa. Florida in 7.
I can't. I got to go with Tampa. They're the champs. I have to stick with them.
And then I think Colorado in 6.
I'm picking St. Louis.
Ooh.
I am.
What's your rationale?
Well, again, they have the experience. Do the Avs have the 2 best players in this series? Yes, they do, and Makar and McKinnon. But the Blues have found ways to score. Vladimir Tarasenko is, if he's not comeback player of the year, he's damn close to it. Jordan Kyrou, Robert Thomas, Braden Shen. There's a lot of players in there that I think will give the Avs fits. And no one talks enough. I mean, we drink. Our Kool-Aid is drunk by Daryl Sutter. So I have mine in a Gatorade bottle, and you probably have yours. But St. Louis, they drink out of the Craig Berube has his own Gatorade, and I don't know. They've been there before. No one gave them a chance against Minnesota. Everyone thought Minnesota was going to, Minnesota was going to win that series. St. Louis found a way. I think they can find a way to beat Colorado.
You missed also David Perron. He has 9 points, 5 goals, 4 assists.
They're well-rounded, and I'm not saying that the Avs are not well-rounded. Just think that St. Louis has that championship pedigree that allows them to. And I think I'm going to say this. This is my bold prediction. Every series goes 7.
Wow. You gotta hope the drama is right there for every single one of those series, and rightfully so for each storyline. So I wouldn't be surprised either. I just think Colorado just has that firepower. We've been talking about Connor McDavid taking over games. Cale Makar, he can take over games, and I mean, even saying that is so weird because normally we talk about Nathan McKinnon because he can do that as well. But that I think the X factor is Cale Makar.
Yeah, what concerns me is the health of the Blues defense in that pick, because they're not healthy. But I went with them, and I'm going to stick with them, and I could be wrong. Sure. I was right on 7 of the 8 picks though in the first round, so you will. Yeah.
Well, there you go.
Yeah.
If you guys are betting, listen to Kevin. Don't listen to me.
Listen to Devin. Don't listen to me. I could be wrong. Anything else we need to talk about?
No.
Okay. Let's leave it here. So you and I will be back on Thursday to recap game 1. Sean, Tyler, Chris, and I are back tonight to give an overview of what we saw. We'll probably talk a little bit of Canucks because, there's been a touch of news, not a lot of news. And then we'll go through the second round.
Sorry. Canucks news. I just want to give my thoughts on having Bruce Boudreau back as the head coach. I think it's a massive, massive mistake not to give Bruce Boudreau more than 1 year. I think it's good that he's back, but you have a lame duck coach now. Like what type? You talk about setting a culture. You talk about making sure that you have a direction. I'm sorry, like you're Patrick Alvin. Yeah, I think you dropped the ball on this one. You did it right with bringing him back, but holy shit, you got to be. I think that's a massive mistake. I really do.
Well, the only thing I would say to that though is a lot of teams are going coach year by year. You've got Travis Green on the books. You've got Jim Benning on the books. You've got John Weisbrod on the books. You probably don't want to go to Francesco and say, can we give this guy a 2-3 year contract when you're already paying 3 other people that you fired?
Well, but if you're Alvin, you got to manage upwards. You have to. And like Rutherford would be in that conversation for sure. I just think that you got to give him at least 2 to set the culture right within that organization. That's his first hire, and even now I'm thinking, okay, well, I feel like that's a big scapegoat if things don't go well.
Yeah, I don't think it's a bad thing, but I see where you're coming from.
Yeah, and like obviously, I love Boudreau. I think that I think it's great that he's back, and I think that's a right hire. It's just, I don't know. It just doesn't sit right with me for the culture within that organization because if Boudreau, and I know he's a veteran, he'll be just fine. I just think that for the players, you can easily, if things don't go right during the first half of the season, then you just fire Boudreau and bring in whoever else. And I don't know. It doesn't scream a powerful play by Alvin.
Yeah, we'll see. There's a lot of interesting questions there to unpack on that. And we'll see. The one thing I will agree with you on, the Vancouver Canucks absolutely 100% need to get off to a great, really good start in the regular season. Like that's massive for them.
Yep. I had them pegged higher at the beginning of this season, and they played very well, obviously underneath Bruce Boudreau. But listen, I don't know. It just doesn't seem like a powerful move to me, and it seems like Alvin's of not that type of a GM that is like, yeah, I need to assert my dominance here, but at the same time, you really need to, I think. Fair.
Well, we'll get Sean, Chris's, and Tyler's take on that tonight, and we'll see you there. Of course, how do we follow you?
Follow me on Twitter at Gordhouse09.
Of course, check out Amped Advantage if you're in Calgary. Get in shape like Ryan Pinder and others. And of course, you can follow Sean, Beardy Canuck 03. Tyler, TNOBLE. Chris Schneid's SCHNEIDZ. I am KEVOLE on Twitter, Shifts and Pucks, Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, Twitter, wherever you get your podcasts, and on the Area 51 Sports Network. Just give Fireside Chat a follow as well. They dropped a new episode previewing the Battle of Alberta this morning. So check that out. And we'll be back tonight to talk all things NHL again. Thanks, Devin. And thanks, everyone. We'll talk to you all very soon. Bye for now.